And welcome to another episode of the Dynasty Trades HQ podcast, brought to you by the Dynasty Football Network and DynastyFootballFactory.com. My name is Michael Cipes. You can find me on Twitter at FFBlitz, and I'm here with my partners, Jeremy Browand.
Dynasty Madman on Twitter at DFF_Madman.
Shane Manila.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're not together. We were together last week, but we're not together this week.
That's so funny because I was just about to say,
too.
I just realized this is the first time since we were at that convention that we were doing a show together. That's funny.
This feels more comfortable. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah? I liked it, man. I thought it was cool being live.
Yeah, but I believe Shane. I think Shane does definitely feel more comfortable in his basement talking in the microphone than talking around crowds of people.
Brad Ziegler would be proud to hear him say that.
But yeah, I think we had a lot of fun there. It was fun. But yeah, now we're back to our normal situation.
You guys,
what?
See your faces not on camera. I mean, honestly, that was just cool to shake your hands and talk to you live in person. And I mean, doing the show was a bit different, but just hanging out with you guys, in the flesh was pretty neat.
In the death
and by
house.
In the flesh, I'm not really talking about Shane running around naked. I just mean, we were all in the same place together.
I don't think Shane, you might have run around naked. Well, never mind. But
I definitely had pants on. I had pants on.
That was a fun situation, definitely. So we have a big show tonight because we have Jeff Collins on, right?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. All of our guests that I've been impressed by. He would certainly be up there for what he's done.
What has he done?
We could talk to him when he gets on, but my man's won millions of dollars in fantasy football. He's won writing awards. He also follows me on Twitter. So, I mean, that's just huge right there for him, I'm sure.
I'll be honest, most of my friends are lucky to win a trophy or a belt at the end of the year. So this guy probably carries a little bit more clout, I think.
Yeah, he got a belt too, though. He did get a belt. But I don't think that was the major award.
It is
a major award.
It is funny, yeah. He's got 22,000 followers, and he follows 500 people, and he follows us because he follows me too. But I think it's probably because we're all in that league with him at the DFB Invitational.
Oh yeah, he didn't know he existed before that league, but that's okay.
But it is cool that he gave us a follow when we joined that league. I thought that was pretty cool of him.
Yeah, sure.
Cool guy.
So we do have a little bit of news here, and it's brought to you by rotosurance.com. Go to RotoSurance, put in the code DynastyTradesHQ, and get your 20% off. Obviously, the big news everybody talked about was Andrew Luck retiring this week, but it's been talked about 1 billion times.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to rehash anything. He retired. That's awesome. Great. Good for him. So what we care about is the fantasy stuff.
Right.
So I'm just going to ask you two. I've got Jacoby Brissett as a top 15 quarterback with a shot at having a top 12 season. What do you guys see out of him fantasy-wise?
I agree with Shane. I also heard his little factory outtake or quick take thing earlier this week, and I agreed with most of that. I mean, I think Jacoby Brissett can step in and at least approximate Andrew Luck. Of course, everyone's saying, "Oh, he's not going to, duplicate Andrew Luck, and everyone's going to suffer." Well, yeah, I mean, you don't replace Andrew Luck and Tom Brady, and just the next day everything's the same. But I do like Brissett in fantasy, and I think a top half quarterback, definitely possible for him to do. And I think most of the receivers are still, close to as valuable as they were before. And I don't see T.Y. Hilton falling off the cliff. I realize Brissett can't throw the ball necessarily to the fast receiver like Andrew Luck, maybe not quite as accurately, but that guy can throw the football too. I think Hilton is going to have a good season because I think he's that kind of guy that makes quarterbacks better too, the way that he gets open and his quickness down the field. He's not just fast. Just a great outlet for Jacoby Brissett. So I really am optimistic about it, like Shane was saying earlier this week, and what he just said. I have more optimism about it. And I own Brissett in a lot of places, those those deep superflex leagues where you I'm going to just take a chance on Cody Kessler and Jacoby Brissett. So fortunately, I owned him in plenty of places because I didn't have a good shot to get him otherwise.
It is funny, too, for fantasy-wise, like you said. I was actually doing a best ball draft the day that Andrew Luck made the announcement he retired, and I had drafted Jacoby Brissett like 3 hours earlier because we were in like the 30th round, whatever the hell it was. But you got to also think that this wasn't like a huge shocker. Like they weren't just surprised out of nowhere that this was going to happen. So they probably
Dude's shoulder's probably never been right. And,
right.
I mean,
So
that's part of it.
Yeah. So they've probably been preparing for it for a long time. I did see a lot of people pick up Jacoby Brissett if he was available. Most places he wasn't, but I saw a lot of people grab Chad Kelly too.
Trade alert.
Okay. What's the trade alert?
Yeah, I'm gonna get one of these trades in. So
okay.
We're in that Ultimate Dynasty podcast league.
Yes, you are. Yes,
so much. So we went ahead and made a trade with the Dynasty Happy Hour.
Oh, cool. What was
that's
it?
also a podcast. In case anyone listening to this show doesn't know, check them out.
We've all been on that show too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have. So there was a trade. We gave up Kyler Murray and Justice Hill. And in return, we picked up Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, and David Montgomery.
Nice. Oh, yeah, I like that trade very much.
We really did well.
You guys like that trade? Well,
I do.
I got to tell you, it is not going well on the Twitter box.
Seriously?
Yeah, with 311 votes with 2 hours left, so I don't see this making a huge transition or turnaround. The Kyler Murray and Justice Hill side is winning 62 to 38%.
How is that? All right, so wait. So we got Jacoby Brissett and David Montgomery, and we gave up Kyler Murray and Justice Hill, and people think that that's a bad trade.
Yeah, clearly they think it's a terrible trade.
But that doesn't make any sense to me, at least. I mean, I guess you're talking about a rookie quarterback and a rookie running back on a team where isn't there like 5 running backs on Baltimore right now?
There's Mark Ingram, Justice Hill, Kenneth Dixon,
Gus Edwards.
I mean, Justice Hill's got a chance to really, crush this year and next year and, going forward.
Not. I mean, they still, look,
yeah, but we don't know that he's going to be a starting running back for that team anytime soon, especially with Mark Ingram there this year.
And Gus
Kyler
Edwards.
Murray is just a rookie that people project for certain things. I think if you're trying to win now, the deal that you made clearly to me stands out as something you can use this year to win your league.
There's no question. I would much rather have David Montgomery than Justice Hill. There's not even a question at all about that.
Oh, 100% long term.
Well, even right now. I mean, that's ridiculous.
No doubt. Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett's going to be our QB2. Lamar Jackson's our QB1. If Andrew Luck comes out of retirement at any point, we'll feel better. But I don't know if that'll happen.
Well, that's another thing. That is just one last thing I wanted to say about Andrew Luck, especially for people that are in leagues that like have contracts and salary caps. Especially, it's in my league. The person asked that. He hasn't officially retired. He hasn't turned in his papers. He hasn't retired yet. So these people that are dropping him all over the place, I mean, it's not likely he's going to change his mind, but he hasn't retired yet. He just said he was retiring. So until those papers are filed with the NFL, at least fantasy wise, I wouldn't be dropping him all over the place like a lot of people are.
I don't want to keep talking about him, but
no, I know.
I think
but
that's
why I said one last thing.
Look, I'm a lot of the married guys will know what I'm talking about. That utter look of defeat when you've just given up on life. Like he had that look to him.
Oh,
just like if you threw a football at him, like he might have ran away.
Yeah. All right. So then move on. Go over to Lamar Miller, who's out for the season. You just said you didn't want to talk about him anymore.
Well, I did want to talk about T.Y. Hilton because I think people think T.Y. Hilton is better than he is. He's wildly inconsistent. Just badly so. I was using our buddy Addison Hayes as FS statistics for that quick take. And if no one heard that, it was just probably the greatest quick take that's ever been done. So, check that out. But over 45% of the time, he finishes as a wide receiver 3 or worse.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's very bad.
No, that I understand. All right, so then let's talk about Lamar Miller going down. Because now what happens over there in Houston?
Dookie baby. But now there's rumors all floating around the Twitterverse, which who knows how baked they are in actual truth. That No, that was that was actually someone went on air and said that incorrectly during the game. So then all the questions started coming through. Should I pick up Jai? And I'm like checking Twitter, like, dude, there's no indication that he's signing with anyone. But no, you should not pick up JJ even if he signs with someone.
And I love that people think that somebody that's out there that nobody cares about all of a sudden signs that, oh yeah, he's going to be an RB1. But go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, apparently it's floating around that the Dolphins and Houston Texans might make a trade for Jadeveon
Clowney.
Yes.
Yeah, Jadeveon Clowney to Houston, to Miami. And Miami would give up Kenyon Drake and Kenny Stills, which I don't know that trade makes a lot of sense.
No way. That's not going to happen.
Dealing in the here and there, I think Duke Johnson has legitimate RB1 upside this season. Not
so
the
awesome.
RB1, but he definitely should be a top 10 running back.
I have him in almost every single league I'm in. That was so great because even Jeremy and I talked about it a couple months ago. It's like everybody's just dismissing the fact that he might end up somewhere else. And then once he got traded, it was awesome. And then now with Lamar going down. But what about Karan Higdon and Demaria Crockett?
Demaria. So Demaria he was a workhorse in college. Neither are really receiving weapons. Demaria had a really excellent freshman season and then injured whatever seasons after that. I guess it's your sophomore year.
He was a Devy guy, right? Like people liked him a couple years ago when we were doing Devy.
I mean, he put up over 1,100 yards in his freshman season.
Definitely touched the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, he averaged over 6.6 yards a carry his freshman season. He was injured his entire sophomore season. He played 6 games. He was really mediocre in his junior year, and he decided to come out when he probably should have just stayed in and went undrafted. So, look, I picked up Crockett wherever I could. I put waivers in on him. Wherever he's already owned, I put him in on Higdon because, either guy's just injury away from having relevance.
Sure.
And both were cheap. So,
I got
one or the other or both, sure.
I had Higdon in a whole bunch of the things, and I was doing them in like the 4th and 5th round in drafts, just because we talked about on the show. Grab any running backs that are still available because you never know. Anybody goes down, they're up, And so then
what's crazy is that those guys had a week of. I wish I had a real time like fantasy spiky thingy. What do you call that when you watch the stocks? Like
a spiky thing.
Yeah, a spiky thingy. A graph spike. A spike graph. A spike graph.
Sure. Whatever it's
called. Because everybody was on them, picking them up, and then Duke Johnson got traded there, and after Dante Fortman got traded, everyone picked them up. Then Duke Johnson got traded there, everyone dropped them, and now Lamar Miller's injured, so everyone's picking them up again.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, like Duke Johnson, it's his job to lose at this point. We know he's a very talented running back. I love that guy.
Me too.
His feet and ankles kind of hold up, he definitely can score like a running back one, especially in that offense. I'm excited to see that, but most teams can't live and die with just one running back, so somebody else on that team is going to get some action, and I don't know who it's going to be, but anxious to see if it's going to be one of the guys that's there, or if they do pull off some kind of a trade or bring somebody in that can kind of be a backup running back or whatever there. I think they have the guys in place that can help that team, but who knows.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Crockett for if anyone cares. That's who I'm grabbing. But yeah,
same.
Dukes just needs to stay healthy. Duke stays healthy, he's going to smash this year.
It's funny. We have 2 other guys on here on the news that aren't necessarily injury, but depending on what happens in front of them. And one of them is with Tampa. It's Dare Ogunboale. I think that's what they were.
No, that's not how you pronounce it.
That's what they were saying on the radio when we were watching. Ogunboale.
It's Dare Ogunboale.
Is that really?
I don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
I don't know either. That's what the guy said on the radio. I don't know.
That sounds actually more accurate.
Well, but if you spell it, like break it up, but whatever. So it says. Yeah. Go ahead.
Dare Ogunboale. So according to Trevor Sikama,
yeah,
Sikama. I'm having problems with it.
I was going to say, you can't even say the reporter's name.
You can find him on Twitter pretty easy. It's at Tampa Bay Trey of the Pewter Report. It looks like Dare Dorare is going to start as he'll start the season as the third down back there in Tampa Bay because Peyton Barber's not particularly good at catching the football, and neither is Ronald Jones. Dare's interesting. He's another guy that I've been picking up all over the place because he's been getting a lot of first team reps during the preseason. And then I don't know if you guys know this guy. I think it's Scott Barrett.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He noted that as well as he was talking about the preseason as a guy you should pick up. So Scott Barrett told me to do it. So I picked him up everywhere I could. He had 60 receptions in his final 2 college seasons. You know how many he's had so far in his pro career? 2 years.
No.
Zero.
Oh.
And I will accept no as equal to 0, so you are correct.
Okay, good. So he's had 0 targets in 2 years?
Yeah, well, I think he's mainly been a special teamers, and I'm not even sure if he even played in his first season because he has no stats whatsoever. I'm picking him up. I just think people might want to temper their expectations a little bit. Don't expect a lot from him. I was looking at Bruce Arians' targets to the running back, and outside of David Johnson and Andre Ellington one season, it's not like it's a real great amount. The starting running back saw about 50 over the last 6 years. They've saw about 50 targets, and then Jameis, except for his rookie season, he hasn't really targeted the running back at all. But I don't know if that's a function of injuries to Charles Sims while he was there or what.
Well, it is funny. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago about the preseason will shine a light on some players that people aren't like really looking at. And then we made our teams over these last couple of months based on word and what we thought would happen. But now's the time to like tweak your roster. And like you're saying, picking them up. I was at the airport yesterday and I was looking around and he was available. And the guy we're going to talk about next was available in a couple of leagues. And I dropped some people on the end of my rosters to pick him up. And I think it's important for people to try to manage your rosters now. A lot of people just are blowing off these couple of weeks going, oh, football's finally going to start. But there's guys like that can be picked up. Him, and then also that Damian Willis, who, it was posted on Twitter. You retweeted something about it, and then you're like, who's this guy? And then I saw that, and I was like, oh, yeah, who's this guy? And I looked, and then I went and picked him up in a couple places too. So who is Damian Willis?
Well, first, though, we got to give a shout out to Rookie Fever Podcast because they're the one that tweeted out.
That's right.
That's the first. I'm sure they didn't break the news. It's not like they have in with the Cincinnati Bengals coaching staff.
Maybe they do.
They were one of the first people I see tweet about it, and they noted that he's actually going to start the season as the X receiver.
Yeah.
For the Bengals. I've never heard of this guy. I sincerely thought it was a typo at first, so I looked the name up after I said, "Who is this?" or "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yeah.
And he's a real person. He went to Troy State. AJ Green's replacement.
Right.
So AJ Green averaged 15 points a game. You can pencil this guy in for at least 15 points a game. Probably not. But whatever. It's amazing that Bengals wide receiver core outside of Tyler Boyd is just not good. There's Tyler Boyd. There's AJ Green when he's on the field. John Ross sucks. But another interesting guy, if you're looking at any stashes, is Stanley Morgan Jr.'s over there, who smashed in college. His good size. He's I was looking at the Bengals depth chart. He's actually behind John Ross and some other guy. But I could see him taking John Ross's job at some point this season. Can you imagine it? You got Tyler Boyd out of the slot. You got Stanley Morgan Jr. on one side, and you got Damian Willis on the other, and you're going to win a fantasy championship with those 3 guys right there. Yeah. So Damian Willis, anyway, good size, good speed, 6'3", 205 pounds. He runs a 4.51, 2 seasons at Troy. I don't even know if it's Troy State, come to think. I think it might be just Troy, like the guy. I don't even know if it's a real college. He might have just learned from one guy named Troy. Anyway.
I don't think that's how it works. But
he had 98 receptions for almost 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, and a 15.3 yards per catch, which I like. So, yeah, I grabbed him. He's another guy. Everywhere I could, I went out and I just put a bid on him. And I got him in a couple leagues really cheap, like $1.
Yeah, I was amazed how many leagues that I'm in that had open first come first serve waivers. Actually, I was able to pick up some of these players just going in and picking them up. And then there was some that I put in waivers for. So the only other news that we had before we bring in our guest was Doug Martin being IR'd and then released. But I actually thought he was already released.
Well, he was, but they brought him back when I don't know, something happened. They brought him back for some reason. I'm not really sure why. But, yeah, he gone. I was looking at the Oakland depth chart, and I think it's DeAndre Washington. I'd have to go check, but I believe it's DeAndre Washington is now the Oakland Raiders' second running back. or well, actually Jalen Richard, but
Oh,
yeah. So don't drop those Jalen Richard shares just because Josh Jacobs there, because Jalen Richard is literally a play away from being a well, he wouldn't be a 3-down back. He's too little, but he'd get a lot of the work.
yeah, kind of like an Eckler thing or something. So
one thing I got from all of this, Mike, you were alluding to earlier, if you
Yes.
don't mind me saying something,
Of course.
is that people should always be churning the bottoms of their roster. I mean,
Definitely.
year round, not just now. They have nothing to lose by, rolling a couple guys off the roster and taking a shot at these players.
Yep.
I mean, that's the best advice I think we've given so far.
yeah.
I mean that's obviously that, or not obvious. Maybe it's not obvious. to
It's
some
apparently
people, but
it's
the
not
bottom of-
obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, the bottom. Yeah, obviously. Again, that's now the 5th time I've said obviously. Yeah, that's apparent because you can see a lot of rosters. People are dropping guys now that were injured 6 months ago or are still free agents. Things like that. When you should be churning your roster every week, because even if you can spin a couple good preseason games into a 4th-round pick, something like that, you've come out ahead. So you churn the bottom of your rosters. That's what they're built for. Don't fall in love with these free agents, these undrafted free agents, and guys like that.
It is really weird because we're so close. I think, what are we, 9 days away till the start of the NFL season? I mean, time
And real
flies.
quick, DeAndre Washington is the 3rd running back on the Oakland Raiders depth chart.
Cool.
And again, Jalen Richard is the 2nd. So if Jalen Richard's floating around there for some reason, make sure you pick him up too, because that guy's a great pass catcher. Advanced analytics actually suggest that he's a good running back too.
Cool. So, all right. So before we bring in our guest, why don't we hear from the Scouting Academy?
Scout NFL football like a pro. Invest in yourself and get a degree in player evaluation and assessment from the Scouting Academy. They've educated NFL GMs, personnel directors, and dozens of NFL scouts. Enroll today and you'll watch the same game tape NFL coaches watch. You'll learn to look past the metrics with position-by-position analysis. This is a time-tested curriculum, a chance to learn from the NFL execs and coaches. Sign up today and get a Dynasty Football Factory exclusive discount for a limited time only. Save $50 when you sign up at dynastyfootballfactory.com.
Yep. So if you want to scout like a pro, go ahead and head up to Scouting Academy. Save yourself $50 on the next registration. There's a link on our site. So we're going to go from scouting college pros to scouting DFS because I couldn't think of a good transition.
I'll do the transition then.
Yeah, we have Jeff A, as some people might refer to him, or Hefe.
Okay, all right. You made fun of me when we were getting him on.
I'm introducing our guest. Please don't be rude.
And he's cracking up down there in the bottom corner.
So our guest, he might be the most accomplished guest we've ever had on the show.
Well, it is.
DraftKings.
Listen, I think he's right. He's probably right.
Yeah. He's won DraftKings FB World Championship. I don't know what the FB stands for.
Oh, my God. So I'm glad you're doing this then.
Okay, he's won the FanDuel $1 million Fan Champ in 2018, and he was also the Fantasy Sports Writer Association.
Oh my
I should know
God!
that.
Hey Jeff! You want to? Jeff?
Can I get his last accolade out? He was the Writer of the Year in 2018 for the FSWA. Pretty impressive.
You see what I'm dealing with here, Jeff?
This is.
Oh my God!
I know,
What
and
is
we
what
just
Jeff
sat here.
tell us?
We sat here and worked it all out, everything too, and then he just like bulldozed through. So Jeff is sitting in his hotel room in San Diego. Jeff, you want to correct any of that Shane just said?
No, man. I play DFS a little bit. Sometimes I play Dynasty Leagues and season long, and that's about it.
Sometimes. A little bit. He's a little good. He's just a little good, guys.
And you can find him on Twitter at Jeff K. Collins, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. So yeah, and you're also in our DFB Invitational League that we've talked about a million times on the show.
Scotty Barrett's League, Dude Fantasy Bro, Invitational.
Well, yeah, you just killed the vibe with that.
No, that's what DFB stands for, Dude Fantasy Bro. I mean, you have to frame that up. That's cool as hell. And Scott Barrett invited us and all of his cronies and his buddies and friends, and Jeff's in it, and you had a pretty good draft, right, Jeff? How'd you feel about that from a DFS standpoint? You like your draft?
Everyone, I think, loves their draft after it.
No, we didn't.
Oh, you didn't. Well, it's hard when you have co-owners, but
it is hard, yeah.
You're just drafting the players you like, so you better like your draft, And I loved my draft. Dynasty leagues are kind of something that I really take a lot of pride in because that's my background. That's how I first got into fantasy in the first place. I used to commission a bunch of dynasty leagues, about 100 leagues at a time is what I would do. And I'd play in, 50 plus at a time back before DFS, back when I had that kind of time. And I feel like I've got the strategy down, right? And you guys are familiar with what I do. Obviously, after doing a draft with me, what I do is I just trade back a lot. And I try to get a really deep squad, guys with upside that could develop into the elite tier 1 players. And I think I did that with my team. So I've got a team that I feel like is pretty deep at every position at this point, even though right after the draft it was pretty weak at running back. But after the rookie draft and after making a trade with, I think I make a trade with Reeves for Fournette, that my team looks really good right now.
It's funny, nobody ever told us that in the beginning, that you had commissioned 100 dynasty leagues. All everybody kept telling us is, oh, he's a DFS guy, so he'll be in a DFS mindset.
All right, well, when you win $1 million in DFS, that kind of gets, you know what I mean? Like, after that, whatever you do, it's kind of secondary. Like, he could be an excellent chef, but no one's going to be like, oh, yeah, Jeff, he's a good cook.
Nice.
No, I just mean that nobody told us that he had done Dynasty so much. There was all that talk in that league about, the DFS guys and then the redraft guys and then you guys with your podcast,
Yeah, I think even TJ Calkins made a comment, and I think it was partly tongue-in-cheek anyway, that the DFS guys are the ones that have the toughest, road in this league, and that definitely didn't show in the drafting. But yeah, I had no idea, Jeff, that you were so into Dynasty. I mean, yeah, I think everyone's aware of the DFS, but yeah, that's a big surprise. I don't know that you really talk about that much.
I don't anymore, just because I wish Dynasty had a bigger audience, but it seems like all anyone wants to hear about from me is the DFS stuff. But and of course, this is my only active Dynasty league. It's such a big time requirement to be the type of actor or type of owner I like to be in these leagues, which is active and making trade offers and setting my lineup every week and all that. When you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line every week in DFS, sometimes you might forget to set a lineup if you're playing a bunch of dynasty leagues.
Yeah, I do that, but I wouldn't be comfortable with the kind of stakes you're talking about, making those dumb mistakes that I've made.
I was just going to say, you're in thousands of dollars of DFS? Yeah. So what is it exactly that you do now for a living with DFS? How do you do that?
I mean, I've been playing for 4 or 5 years, 5+ years now at DFS, pretty decent stakes. And then last year I had a really solid year to where now I'm playing at pretty high stakes at week 1 on FanDuel. The contest I've entered so far is 40,000. So I'll be playing 6 figures week 1 with all the sites combined. And I've kind of built it to that point. And now I also give advice on a site that I started right before baseball season called Number Ball, which is a little bit different than your typical content sites you see in DFS. I'm less about handing an answer sheet of here are the players that I like and more about here are the players I like, but this is why I like them. This is how I got there. Here are the sites I used to research, and here are the exact stats that I think makes this player stand out above the other. And here's why this ownership is too high on this guy, and basically just teaching people how to do it the way I do it. And it's gone really well so far. We've got some pretty exciting partnerships that we're announcing soon. This week is a really exciting one. So I feel good about the site and providing content every day. Like, you can't beat that job, man. That's what I do, and I'm loving it.
That's awesome. Are you doing it alone, or is there anybody else with you on the site?
I started off thinking I was just going to do it alone, and then it kind of exploded and became more popular than I thought it was going to be. So now I've just started to add guys that I think are doing things in the industry that haven't been done yet. We've actually received, hundreds of applications, and people ask, hey, why didn't you end up picking me? And I tell them, well, the people I hire are the people that are either showing that they can teach me something or just innovating in a different way that I haven't seen yet, and basically that are going to make me a better player myself. So if I feel like someone I hire is going to make me a better player, then I know that's going to become really good content. That's what we've done with Justin Freeman, who's just incredibly sharp. He's built out a bunch of or a couple projection templates that you can do with assumptions on market share and coaching tendencies. And then James McCool, who's a really sharp guy, is doing a lot of baseball stuff with a stat he developed called X home runs per nine. And then also starting to develop some really cool football stats, which I'll share with you guys as soon as we release that. But some really cool stuff.
Great.
Explosive play data.
Yeah, I actually, so I got a membership to Number Ball, even though I called it the wrong thing in our DM thread, but it definitely is Jeff's site. And I've actually been reading a lot of it. And it doesn't just have DFS stuff there, though. It does have season long. It has, if I'm wrong, I think it has some dynasty stuff, but it definitely has season long stuff too. But yeah, what Jeff was saying with the DFS, it definitely, you feel like you're learning something and not just getting like pick these players, which is really cool because eventually you'd like to be good enough to not have to subscribe to sites to figure out, oh, well, this is why you're going to play a guy.
And that's what I wanted to ask Jeff is how do you plan, do you plan your drafts in advance and can you give us maybe some insight into how you do that, even in your approach to the Scott Barrett Invitational or the DFB Invitational Dynasty draft or any drafts? I mean, is there a way that you go about planning them in advance?
Yeah, I'll speak specifically to the DFB Invitational because this is a strategy that I've spent years developing. It's just tinkering with different things and seeing what works. But what I like to do in dynasty leagues, aside from trading down, like I already mentioned, is to really focus on having my equity in wide receivers. So even the fact that I have Leonard Fournette right now, which is like a third round equity type player, that's a little uncomfortable for me because I just think that with the injuries and the job changes and everything at the position, that it's a lot safer in dynasty for long-term investments to have most of your equity invested into your wide receivers. So that's kind of my overall strategy. I would say that in regards to draft picks, I typically am getting rid of my draft picks right around draft time and then acquiring draft picks before that because I feel that plays the best with the values at the time. Of course, the values, the perception of the value of all these picks change based on the season that you're in. So I try to take advantage of all the kind of stuff like that. And overall, when you do those sorts of things, you end up with a team that's going to compete every year and that I think right now, I mean, honestly, tell me what you guys think, but I think I'm clearly a playoff team right now.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. I like that you have some backup quarterbacks. Honestly, the profile of your wide receivers, quarterbacks, and tight end is how I like to have teams. You have more running backs than we do in this league. Yeah, I mean, I think you're one of the better teams. Based on the stratification you have, and that's not just for this season. I know Scott thinks that Scott and TJ think they have the best team. I'm not sure. I'd have to compare them more side by side, but I think this is definitely a playoff team. Yeah, the depth at wide receiver alone, I mean, it's like huge.
Well, and Jeff actually has a guy we were talking about. He's got Karan Higdon, Ty Johnson, a couple players that could find themselves with some expanded roles. CJ Anderson. So it seems like he hammered a lot of the running backs late in the draft, which is a good idea in dynasty leagues because, you kind of want to just keep recycling those running backs. Miles Sanders, who's going to be a 3-down back, regardless of all the idiots.
And the biggest name, really. The biggest name there outside of Leonard Fournette. And like you said, the structure of this is, running backs that didn't cost a lot. The equity in them is, it's just not there. That's
also, he's got two pretty good tight ends with Cook and O.J. Howard sitting there.
Yep.
The trade
like tight end 3, I think.
Yeah, the trade that you made. The trade that you made to get Leonard Fournette, looking here, you gave up Damian Harris and Daniel Jones and a first to get Leonard Fournette, Chad Henne, and a fourth. So in this
That's a lot to
league,
give away.
yeah, but is it really though? I would rather have Leonard Fournette and
I'm not saying I wouldn't rather have Leonard Fournette. I'm just saying he did give a lot to get Fournette, so clearly he wanted him.
But he needed him too. If you looked at the running backs that
Just
he had
like
on
us.
his team, yeah.
Just like
if
us,
you looked at the running backs he had.
That trade. So we could use the back.
Well, he got Chad Henne. I mean, you can't sell that.
We always have to get Chad Henne.
You joke, but Barry's been bugging me to try and get him because he has Mahomes.
And
Chad Henne's done for the year, isn't he? Didn't he break his arm? Yeah, they picked up.
Surgery. That's right.
But he also had.
They picked up.
But he also had three. He also had four quarterbacks to be able to give up Daniel Jones because he still has three left.
Right.
So it works for him to get a running back.
Just real quick, Daniel Jones. All of a sudden, it's hilarious because everyone made fun of him and the Giants, including I think us.
I know you made fun of him a lot.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is like the hot commodity now. Everybody's trying to trade for him.
Oh no! I just looked at our team. We have 1, 2, 3 players that are in injured reserve, including Lamar Miller, Hakeem Butler. We don't have.
That's not ideal.
No, we have Ronald Jones and Tariq Cohen. Those are only 2 running backs. So you're right. Maybe we should have made a deal that Jeff was able to make.
Real quick, it's Matt Moore. He's now the Chiefs' backup. So if you're playing in a super flex league, you want to go pick up some Matt Moore.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this is a super flex league, I think is why Reeves was interested in acquiring Daniel Jones there. He didn't have much in the way of quarterbacks, and then I had a need at running back. So it seemed to make a bit of sense. He wanted to, I think, build for the future a bit more as well. And the roller coaster, too, with Damian Harris and Sony Michel at the beginning of training camp thinking, oh, man, Sony, it's not looking great for him. Damian Harris could get some work early. Like his stock started to rise, and I'm going, oh man, I'm not sure how much I like this trade anymore. Then when his came back down, then Daniel Jones's stock shot up. So I don't know about this trade overall. Right now, I feel pretty good about it, but it's definitely a fair trade.
Well, yeah, and even wasn't it this week they were talking about with New England that Harris is like number 4 on their chart right now for who played.
Now.
Jeff got his big smile when I said that.
Here's the thing: it's the New England backfield, so I don't know
exactly
that him being the 4th running back truly matters that much. Because if he's the guy that that Belichick thinks is best for that week's game script, then he's going to get a ton of run.
And that's why I never take any of those New England running backs anymore.
Well, that's terrible fanny.
No, it's not.
Don't
hey, dude, I won
that.
more leagues than you did the last couple of years, so whatever.
False.
No, it's not false. We'll put it up
Stop
and we'll
making
show you.
things up, you liar.
You're
He's
the one who
only
makes it
doing
up.
Because of injury, though, too, right? I mean, that's the thing with Damian Harris. It's like the only reason he's RB4 right now is because he can't practice. So I think once he gets back out there and is practicing, all of a sudden we start talking about a role for him and stuff.
Right, and I mean they gave him something like 15 carries at least in the second or third preseason game. I forget. I believe it was the second, and he looked really good. He looked like what we thought he was going to be coming out of college. Just unfortunately, his landing spot's not the best, but it even takes a turn for worse. Yeah, because Sony Michel, all of a sudden, they've decided that they're going to throw him the ball. So that really that kind of hurts Damian Harris's his value right there.
And speaking of all these rookies, we talk about it with Dynasty, but with you doing DFS, are there any rookies that people really should be interested in when you're doing all these DFS players? Because a lot of these players we talk about, it's just like guys we hope might do something in Dynasty. But for DFS, how many of these rookies from this year really have any value for you?
I mean, I think we'll see who ends up making the team, but Singletary is probably going to be pretty relevant in DFS. Who knows who's going to make the team and everything. Tony Pollard is going to be pretty relevant, I would say. Week 1.
Yeah.
What's his pricing look like? Is his pricing caught up with the fact that Zeke isn't around? Is it caught up yet?
I think he's min-price on DraftKings.
Really?
I haven't checked, but they released their salaries a long time ago, so I bet you he's min-price.
So it's time to go hit up some DraftKings.
Yeah, I'll look right now.
He's pulling it up right now.
Inspired Shane.
4,500 6,300. So yeah, that's not min price, but it's definitely really cheap. He's gonna get if Zeke is out week 1. I just went through our projections with James and Justin, the two math guys, the two projection guys, and it was hard for us to stay under like 70% rushing market share. Because it's like, who else is there? It's Alf Morris. It's Darius Jackson, who hasn't done anything. They're probably going to cut Weber. Like, Weber hasn't even done anything. So, like, who else is going to get the carries? Zeke is out. Tony Pollard is just going to beast.
Yeah, you had that conversation on Twitter a couple hours ago. I saw you writing that over and over. You were having a conversation with some people. For people that do DFS, are you able to put your lineups in right now for week 1?
Yeah, sure. You can edit all the way up until lock. But yeah, I've got like a dummy, what I call a dummy lineup. You just select a bunch of random players. That way you can enter that into the contest, and then you figure it out the night before.
Oh, that's cool.
And is that what you do? You don't lock your lineup until the night before, or even up until the game?
Really, it's minutes before. It's after the inactives come out and all that kind of stuff, making final adjustments then. But often doing a lot of work on who exactly the percentage of each player I want my lineups. Sometimes I'm building as many as 150 lineups per site.
Wow.
And in order to do that, you have to figure out, all right, how much do I like this player relative to this player? And I want to make sure that's reflected in the lineups that I build out. So that's an entire process. It takes hours, or it can take you hours. It takes me hours. And yeah, or otherwise your main lineup, like your cash game lineup or your main tournament lineup, you're tinkering with that all week and finalizing that the hour before lock.
Sometimes you actually plug in like placeholders and then you worry about it. Just you enter that contest and then you worry about it before lock.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I join my contests whenever they get released. So like Monday, and it's just a dummy lineup. It's just whatever players in there, and that's just to reserve my spot in the contest. And then yeah, it's really tinkering all week and really finalizing everything that last 24 hours.
So for the people that listen to us, because mostly they're Dynasty people, that's why I asked that question about DFS. But so when they go into right now, you could do it that far out, because isn't it still like 2 weeks away till football starts? Usually when the season starts, you can't really do it that far out, can you? Is it a week-to-week thing, or can you do like a whole bunch of weeks at one time?
Since week 1 is, there's nothing before it really aside from preseason. They release those about a month before.
Okay.
They'll release it before preseason even starts. So all those contests are available right now to join. The Millie Maker for week 1, you can join that right now, and you enter a lineup in and you just edit it later.
I'm gonna do some too. I'm inspired now.
I saw you wrote something on Twitter earlier about coming in second in something. What was that?
So I finished in 2 live finals second place this past year. I finished, well, the nice thing about it is I finished second in the FanDuel football live final, and that was, I believe, 400,000 a first and 200,000 a second. So I took all 200,000, but the best part of that was I was also in a contest that same week where I won $1 million.
Oh my gosh.
With a totally different lineup. It was called the Fan Championship. It was a $250 entry. And what I did that week is that was the week that Saquon Barkley was super chalk against the Titans. And Derrick Henry was coming off that huge game against the Jags. So they were playing each other. Everyone loved Saquon Barkley, and I just played Derrick Henry coming off that huge game, projecting big market share moving forward from him. And the Giants didn't score any points. I mean, Saquon had his worst game of the year. Henry had a big game with multiple touchdowns, and all of a sudden I'm $1.2 million richer.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. So what are some of the players that you're trying to stack, this season? I know people try to capture that magic in stacks. They do it in Dynasty, season long, and DFS. But what are some of the things that you're looking at with stacks this season?
Even in best ball, I think that's kind of a good way to approach those in the big championships where there's a playoff round and weeks 14 through 16 or whatever, you're playing against the winners of every league. Stacking can become really valuable because it's the same DFS principles with the correlation, and you're looking for one of your if you stack 2 teams in your lineup or one team, you're looking for that team or two to get hot. and carry you through the playoffs. And that's something that's very, very possible. A team that I think is great for that, two specifically, which I talked about on Twitter today, would be the Texans and the Bucks. Specifically in that best ball format, if you can stack both of those together, which is something I've done, those two play each other in the Super Bowl week too. So typically game stacks are something in DFS that can be pretty valuable with both sides going off in a shootout. And I could definitely see Tampa Bay, Houston being one of those games.
Cool. Yeah, that's encouraging. I had the chance to play in Pros versus Joes thanks to Shane and Dynasty Football Factory. It was pretty neat drafting against some of those guys that really know a lot about best ball and season long and have their strategies. And I was actually excited to come away with Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, and their kicker Fairbairn. I was thinking every time Hopkins catches a touchdown pass, that's pretty safe there. But yeah, that was the best I came away with in that draft. But I was excited to get that.
Yeah, I think that, you guys know it's no secret that I've got a love for Deshaun Watson this year. I've got.
Oh, yeah? You want to trade for him in the DFB?
I'm down, guys. I've sent some offers, and I'll admit that, like, in Superflex, that's not something that I've done for years and years and years. My normal Dynasty leagues haven't been Superflex. So it's really tough to value those quarterbacks, and honestly probably doesn't even fit with my strategy. I never pay up for quarterback. I never draft quarterbacks early, and I like most of my equity in receivers, but I'm still interested. I put a bunch of money on Deshaun Watson winning MVP at 25-1, put a bunch of money on Odell Beckham to lead the league in receiving at 18-1. And those are the two guys that I'm super, super high on. Those two guys and Kenyon Drake, who's a little bit more of a sleeper, I guess, a guy whose stock is dropping. But if I had to pick three guys that are going to define my season this year, it's probably those.
Well, when you say that, where are you putting those bets? Is that Vegas, or do DraftKings and FanDuel do prop bets now?
It's funny enough.
Yes.
I placed those bets on my honeymoon in Lake Tahoe.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's Tahoe, you can't get as much action as you can in Vegas. I asked them, hey, what's the max I can bet on Odell? Because that was the one I felt the best about, right? 18-1 on that. And he's like, oh, you can try for as much as you want. I said, okay, ask him about 7K. And so he had to make a phone call. He comes back. He's like, no, we can't do 7K, man. So I think I ended up getting 2,000 or 3,000 down on it, whatever they would let me. But as soon as they did, the odds dropped down to 8-1.
As soon as you did your bet?
As soon as you did your bet.
Yeah, so as soon as the money went down, the odds changed.
That was my question. So when you do all these DFS things, those websites don't have those kind of prop bets, right? You'd have to do that somewhere else.
They do, but you have to be in New Jersey. So I'm in California. That's where I live. And I'm not allowed to sign on to the FanDuel and DraftKings sports books from California. When I go to Jersey, I can do it, but it's specifically state by state thing.
Well, isn't the laws changing? Aren't they getting ready to change for all the states? Like you say, state by state. So is California one of the ones that should be changing soon, or?
Yeah, I don't know the exact timeline, but states are already starting to change over, and I think within the next 5 years is pretty realistic that a lot of states are going to have sports betting, but certainly within the next 10 years, you'd imagine that most states are going to allow sports betting just because it can make the state so much money. It's hard to push back on that too much when all the other states are doing it too. When you could point to another state and be like, well, they're doing it, so we can do it, So it's pretty easy to get past at this point, I think.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to come down here to South Florida.
Now, you guys have dog racing, don't you?
Oh God, no, we don't. We don't have that anymore. But unfortunately, they did have that.
You bet
down
on
here.
High Lie down there in Miami?
I used to go to High Lie, but freaking 20 years ago. I think all those High Lie casinos are now all whatever. They're different now. But so we did have a whole bunch of trades that we wanted to talk about, and you have your perspective of DFS. Even though we found out now on the show that you have a deep dynasty perspective as well. But we had a couple trades that we wanted to discuss if you're interested in talking about them with us.
Oh, I'll do as many trade talks as you want to do and give you feedback on those. Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right.
Shane.
Cool. So I won't yell because
yeah, we're all
if
good.
Jeff's ever listened to the show, I don't want to startle him or anything like that. Waivers just went through.
Wait.
See, I got
Okay, we
Junior
lost
Smith.
Shane. We lost
That's
Shane
it.
because he's looking at waivers now.
Sorry. So our first trade.
Oh my God.
This is a FFPC league. In case anyone's not aware, FFPC is a tight end premium, 1.5 points for tight end scoring. We've got the Darius Geis spelled incorrectly on the one side, and Evan Ingram on the other.
Just straight up?
Just straight up.
Oh, Ingram.
No chaser.
No chaser.
Right?
I'm just an innocent bystander. I just want to hear your opinions.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Geis is like a, I don't know, 7th-ish round guy. Ingram, 4th-ish. So to me, that's not really close. I would go Ingram like without hesitation, no counter needed, nothing, just auto accept.
Yeah, Twitter agreed with you wholeheartedly. Evan Ingram, 61%, 39% over
I thought he
Darius
said
Geis.
Mark Ingram. Dude, that's not even close. You're just giving me a softball or what?
All right, so
Yeah,
it's
okay.
if Evan
So what do
Ingram
you
is the
think
tight
about
end.
this
So
trade,
what
then?
do you think about
Evan Ingram? Evan.
Okay, well, that's totally different trade. You mean? Yeah. So the one with Evan Ingram instead. Yeah, I'd go Evan Ingram still there with the tight end premium. Is going to get a lot of receptions. I think. Who knows about the scoring? But so yeah, both Ingrams, Mark and Evan.
on your Twitter poll, do you put the little note that you put on here where it says Geis replaces Lindsey as my RB2 and Mark Andrews is now your starting tight end?
No, because I don't think that Twitter, honestly, on Twitter polls, half the people don't read them. So, you know what I mean? I think people just like to press buttons.
Yeah.
So whichever button looks the prettiest, they're gonna press it, which is why people use all those stupid ass emojis now for the polls.
Well, that's the other thing of why polls are not that good anyways. But yeah, as a tight end premium, I agree. I would go with Evan Ingram too, even though I love Darius Geis. But even your notes make it seem like you'd have to, because then if you're saying Mark Andrews is then your starting tight end, we hope that Mark Andrews is going to be good, but if he's not, then you have no...
What do you mean hope? He just put up a historic rookie season for a tight end.
I understand, but you're saying as opposed to giving away Evan Ingram in a tight end premium.
Away. You don't like Darius Geis. All right.
Oh,
fine.
my
I'm not
God.
gonna argue this trade
You don't
anymore.
you don't even listen to the sentence that I said when I said I love Darius Geis. But you don't even...
Too. I just
you don't
think
even...
that Evan Ingram's worth more right now, so... You know what I'm saying? He's worth more than Darius Geis.
Yes.
I'm not saying that Darius Geis is never going to outscore Evan Ingram, but right now, people are paying way more for Evan Ingram than Darius Geis.
Exactly. And Shane it doesn't matter what I say. So, all right. So go on to your next trade, Shane.
I got distracted by a hair on my shirt, so I stopped looking.
Oh my
So this is
God.
hashtag get Josh Gordon the off my team.
Good. You
This
should.
is a best ball league trade. Josh Gordon and a 2021 second rounder for Miles Boykin and a 2021 first rounder.
I mean, yeah, I'd rather have Gordon, man. But honestly, I'm a bit higher on Gordon than most, I think. But and I devalue first round picks more than most as well. Mm-hmm. But Josh Gordon this year with no Gronk, I can't imagine that he wouldn't just really make you regret getting rid of him, man. Why is this some like inside joke where you hate Josh Gordon?
Well, you know,
no,
Jeff,
he actually
listen to
loves
the show. God damn it! Next time you're setting the lineups, just put us on in the background, and I'll bore my way into your skull. Josh Gordon has completely screwed me over too many times.
Nobody's done that to everybody.
Yeah,
and that's there's that. So that's why the trade is hashtag get Josh Gordon the off my team, because I want no parts of Josh Gordon. That was somehow I didn't even know I still owned him in that league.
Is this a dynasty league though? You said best ball league. Is it a best ball?
Yeah, it's a
dynasty
dynasty best ball. Yeah, well,
I mean, I can see where you're going, getting that first round pick in Miles Boykin and getting the hell away from Josh Gordon's seemingly poor decision making. I mean, I get that. You know, this year, you know, in season long, if you're doing something in best ball, non-dynasty, I think Gordon is the guy that you want to bank on, but in Dynasty, I think it's probably exactly the opposite. Miles Boykin, I think, has a good future, and I'd rather have that first than that second. And I'd rather step away from Josh Gordon for more than, beyond this year. So, I mean, I see why you did that.
I agree, too. For that trade, I don't even care about the two players. I'd rather have the pick, and I don't really care about picks. And it's funny, I just got a trade offer from Justin in the Listener League.
Oh.
He just
any good?
No. He offered me Josh Gordon and Willie Snead again, because he sends Willie Snead a lot, for Darius Geis. That's
I would not take that.
I know. I turned it down and I told him no,
Jeff,
thank you.
If you say, Jeff, you're our guest, so proper etiquette dictates if you tell him to accept this trade, he has to accept it.
No, I do not, Jeff.
Oh, yeah, we just made that up.
No, I would take that one. I like Geis there, but I feel like you guys might value these first more than me, so I should trade you my first round pick in 2021.
It is funny, Jeff, because we talk about it a lot. Jeremy and I are very happy with trading away all our picks, and Shane likes to have the picks. But in that league that you're talking about, it's very difficult to try to do that because of the high stakes that it is and the people that are in there. It depends on what you're offering, but I don't believe that we would go for the first round pick instead of a player.
No, but I will tell you, we did send Jeff an offer.
Oh yeah?
We offered him Deshaun Watson, who is going to be his MVP. He just noted that.
He just said it, yeah.
25 years old. Apparently, he's getting Kenyon Drake and Kenny Stills to add to his weapon, so he's probably going to pass for at least 5,000 yards and rush for another 800. We offered him and Tariq Cohen, really nice asset. For all we wanted back was Cam Newton, Miles Sanders, and Leonard Fournette. That's all we wanted.
There you go.
We didn't want a lot.
Jeff, the one thing that you will know by listening to the show is that when the players come up and Shane sees that he can make a trade, he'll try to do it during the show. So is that anything anywhere close or anything that we can work out with you?
He immediately rejected
I know, he's cracking up. I see his face.
Auto reject.
And I tried to, it wasn't even just I quickly rejected with the hopes to quickly counter. And then I was like, man, where do I even go with this? Just because, and this was also I think the day that they had said that Tariq Cohen's usage is going to go down and everything, so I was like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't even buy on Tariq Cohen right now. But yeah, it's hard to get there because the way I see it, Watson is a second round. Where'd you guys take him? Early second, mid second in this league?
Well, too early for Shane for sure, because I remember he's been wanting to trade him away ever since we passed up Carson Wentz.
Yeah, he wanted
Deshaun
Wentz
Watson in Shane's mind. Although I still think it was the better move. But Shane's a Philly fan who loves Carson Wentz. There's a whole backstory there.
Yeah.
We Mike and I made the right choice, but Shane was mad at us. I don't think he talked to me for a week after that.
No, I mean,
trying to co-own with him is hard.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd say probably a second rounder in a super flex, and then Fournette's late third. Is that fair in super flex dynasty? So it's to me those are somewhat close, but obviously something needs to be made up there.
Right.
And I think Cam and Miles Sanders for Tariq Cohen, it's well, that's a bit much. It's just where I landed there, and it was hard to get something between where I thought the value was and you did. And again, as I stated a bit ago, admittedly, I might not know how to properly value quarterbacks in a super flex, or maybe not even just properly, but I might not value them as much as a veteran of a super flex.
Well, you've convinced me. We'll accept Cam Newton and Miles Sanders for Deshaun Watson and Tariq Cohen. Let's just get it done.
Wait, what?
That would be a little more tempting.
Shane goes, wait, what?
I'll
tell you what.
More tempting, but I mean, we're just be honest with it. It's cards out on the table. I mean, I've told you exactly what I think about Deshaun Watson. Yeah. Where do you guys have Miles Sanders in Dynasty right now? Because I realize I'm probably super high in him, but I think fourth round is realistic.
Yeah, no, I have no problem taking him there. Are you talking about in single QB or a super flex league?
I guess I was referring to more just a standard league, but so that would drop him down to the fifth, maybe. in a super flex.
Yeah, maybe fifth or early sixth if he's sitting there on the sixth, I'm going to pounce on him. But yeah, I could see taking him in the fifth because Montgomery I know has been going off right around there, and so has Josh Jacobs.
Well,
and
a couple startups recently, Superflex. I didn't mean to cut you off, Shane, but I'm excited about this. But he's gone in the fifth round in a couple of startups just this in the past week. I guess this was like August 15th. And August 18th, fifth round, mid-fifth, 508, 510, Miles Sanders. And, it changes, but in a super flex, he's going in, fifth round.
But I do think that's the right structure of the deal. It's like Cam and Miles Sanders for Watson and Cohen, and then where you go from there, it's somewhat close to that.
Hey,
but
I like it.
So maybe we could work something out while we're live on the air.
I hate making trades live on the air because I feel pressured.
Oh, come on. Chill out. Just take a breath.
I lost my virginity and I didn't enjoy it then. And I don't want to do it now.
How long has this podcast been on, man?
Yeah, it's been about 2 years. But yeah, I remember when he lost his virginity. All right. I don't know. Who knows what we're talking about?
Sounds awkward now.
I know, really.
Christ.
Hey, you know what I also realized in this league? How come we only have one IR spot?
I just noticed that too because I tried to place
Me too.
another player on there and it's only Hakeem Butler that can go on there.
I just tried to do it too at the exact same time and it said, no, you only have one IR spot. I'm like, what kind of league do you have one IR spot?
Well, it's because the commissioner is very shady. So after players started getting injured, he probably changed the settings and none of us noticed.
We have 3 IR players and we're wasting it on Hakeem Butler. All right,
you guys made me draft him early. That's all.
We made you. Yeah, I don't think so.
We sniped Bob Harris when we took him, so I keep trying to trade him to Bob Harris.
Yeah, I saw
now wisened up too.
I saw you tweeted that to him today. You're like, hey, do you still want Hakeem Butler? All right, so is there any movement that we can have here with Jeff or no?
Well, we just talked about it.
I know, but Shane said he doesn't want to lose his virginity or whatever he said.
It's getting late, so Mike's starting to. He's starting to sundown.
Oh my God!
How attached are you guys to Mike Evans? I know that's totally changing the deal, but
yeah, no thanks.
I've got a lot of receivers.
So listen, I know what you guys said about our fans listening and our listeners. So we did have 2 more trades that we did want to talk about, and maybe the people could listen to this show and check out our Twitter and see if we end up doing a trade with Jeff after all. But in the meantime, for the show purposes, we did have 2 more trades. Shane, you wanted to talk about, correct?
Yeah, just real quick on the Twitter thing. Yeah, because I'm going to tag Jeff in every tweet. Just try to glam off his name.
I think everything we do from now on, we have to tag Jeff in it.
Yeah, it's going to be like every episode. The ones he's not even involved in, I'll just.
Well, yeah, you got to do that, man.
And basically, like all his DFS heads will see it, but they won't really pay attention, and they'll just before you know it, they'll just start following us and shit.
All right, so Jeff, we did have another trade here in a 1 quarterback league where the team trading Jacoby Brissett had Luck and Kasem, but they traded Jacoby Brissett.
Case
Keenum. They traded Jacoby Brissett straight up for Keyshawn Johnson.
Like Casey Kasem.
Jacoby Brissett.
I all over that.
I know. Jacoby Brissett for Keyshawn Johnson.
I'm with that. Go ahead. I like it.
I like Brissett there.
Yeah.
But again, Brissett's another guy that I'm just going to be way higher on than the field. I think that he's going to project to be pretty solid. I don't think people are expecting him to run as much as he will, and that's where a lot of his value is going to come from. 2017, he had 14% of the rushing market share. He scores on the ground too. Like he'll run stuff in around the goal line. This is a very good offense. This is a very good offensive coordinator. This is he's got weapons. Brissett, people are way too low on him.
So we were talking before you got on air. I asked these 2 and they didn't answer, or I didn't let them answer. I don't.
We did answer, but you didn't listen.
I didn't listen.
You probably got distracted by a hair or something.
Yeah. So I said, I can see him easily being QB 15, and I'm not even going to be mildly surprised if he ends up with a QB 1 season.
Jeremy, you totally answered that question when he said that earlier today.
Yeah, I said I'm optimistic about the Colts and I'm optimistic about Brissett. I think he's easily a top half quarterback, probably a quarterback. It could be a quarterback one. I specifically said that.
I
He
know.
doesn't remember.
He doesn't
Okay,
listen.
Where did you go? Did you try to go accept a trade or
No,
something?
he
when
was
I
sitting
talking?
right there, staring into space.
Look, you guys, sometimes I'm just not interested, and I kind of just start doing other things. So yeah, I think he'll be a QB1 too.
Oh my
to be honest.
God.
I think he definitely has the upside, and like Jeff said, that offense is just set up for someone to succeed with his skill set. And Frank Reich has worked with mobile quarterbacks in the past, Carson Wentz specifically. So don't be shocked if they throw in some of those RPOs and quarterback draws and things like that. And the Colts offensive line, according to Football Outsiders, was the second best in pass blocking last year. So it's a really good offensive line. So people forget, he stepped in 2017. He was traded to the team 8 days before the start of the season.
Yeah.
At the quarterback position. We talk about wide receivers having to learn an offense. Imagine trying to be a quarterback, learning how to actually run a team. So I want to trade. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's no question. I would want Brissett.
Yes,
I would want Brissett over Keyshawn in that trade, definitely. So the last thing we had here is a start one quarterback league. We had one side was Baker Mayfield, Aaron Jones, Deebo Samuel, 2020 second and third, and then the other side was Kirk Cousins, Kerryon Johnson, and Justice Hill. And it's a start one quarterback league.
It is a start one.
Mayfield, Aaron Jones, Debo was side one?
Yeah. Correct. And some picks.
2020 second and third. But
yeah, and side two is Cousins.
Kerryon Johnson and Justice Hill.
Oh, yeah, it's side one, like by a good amount, I would say, with Mayfield. And I mean, I think you guys have seen from the group chat that me and my co-owner Joe are super high on Debo. Debo, I think, is going to be a great weapon even just this year for the 49ers, let alone when he develops. And then Baker Mayfield, I'm super high on that Browns offense in general. And that side, not really close for me.
Jeremy, what do you think? Because I'm assuming this is a Shane trade, so that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, no, I'm not just trying to agree with Jeff Collins because that would be the easy thing to do. I'm not surprised he likes the youth of Baker Mayfield, but I mean, in this case, in a dynasty league, that's kind of key because Mayfield is super young coming into his sophomore year, and Kirk Cousins is 30-year-old guy already. And I know quarterbacks can play for a long time, and I'm a fan of Cousins, but I think Kerryon Johnson, while he can be good, and Justice Hill possibly could be good. I love Baker Mayfield, Deebo Samuel. I want that side. In fact, it's mostly influenced by just Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Honestly. So.
Shane, which side was you?
I was actually on the correct side, not Baker Mayfield, because it's a start one quarterback league.
So you're saying that good quarterbacks aren't worth anything in a one quarterback league?
Listen.
No, you're saying that you're saying Kirk Cousins isn't a good quarterback.
What's funny?
I'm saying is you're not valuing quarterbacks who are maybe marginally better in a one quarterback league.
So outside of last year, QB1 through QB12 scoring was incredibly flat.
Yeah.
Last year, Mahomes was an absolute fucking anomaly. And that's a quote in Webster's dictionary. Anomaly.
Do they bleep that out in Webster also? I
Johnson's
think
much better than
Jones.
I
think
Jones
so
is
too.
a fifth-round running back that can't
And
stay on the field.
And Hill's better than Samuel, and Cousins is better than Mayfield.
Debo, well, here's the thing
I'm
about.
not even thinking about the picks that you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about Debo. It's funny because you noted how Kerryon might be good when he's actually played a season and shown that he is very good. But Debo all of a sudden is a wide receiver one.
I think it doesn't happen very often where I agree with Shane and disagree with Jeremy, but in this case I agree with Shane too. Especially for right now, for playing right now, I'd rather have Cousins and Kerryon Johnson on my team than Baker and Aaron Jones. But
I will say this: Baker is obviously. I'm not special, so Baker is obviously much better than Kirk Cousins.
What do you mean you're not special?
Well, I know you guys call me special all the time, and you're like, these are helmets.
We never do
I'm
that ever.
Special.
You are actually the only person that says that ever. So, all right, hey, listen, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the show and hanging out with us. And
we apologize.
And possibly we can work out a trade, going forward. And good luck with your house, by the way.
Awesome.
Do you want to tell everybody where they can find you and what they can see when they look?
Sure. I'm on Twitter at Jeff K. Collins, and I write content for a site called numberball.com. Check it out if you want to get some DFS tips. I'm doing best ball stuff and dynasty stuff, all kinds of stuff there. So at Jeff K. Collins and numberball.com.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And if we work out something, we'll send it out there and let the whole world know that we worked out a trade with you.
Perfect.
The whole world.
I'll do my best, man.
The whole world, yes. Everybody that
I
looks.
love watching too.
And in the meantime, why don't we hear from our new sponsor, which we actually have a new promo for them as well, from bestfantasyfootballleague.com.
bestfantasyfootballleague.com. Join a 12-team Dynasty startup draft today. Leagues start at just $49 and go up to $999. Starting lineups of 1 quarterback, 3 running backs, 4 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 2 flex spots. They also have best ball leagues, weekly leagues, and redraft leagues with 6 different starting lineup options in 10, 12, and 14 team leagues. bestfantasyfootballleague.com. The best fantasy football leagues on the net.
So, yeah, that's bestfantasyfootballleague.com. So if you're looking for a few more sites to join, you still got, 9 days until
Something
the
like
season
that.
kicks off?
Yeah, something like that.
You know, the draft might be a little close, but I'm guessing the clocks will be lower on those.
That kind of sounds like our listener league last year. Didn't we draft like all the way up to like kickoff almost?
I'm pretty sure we did. You know, we drafted really late.
That was a crazy draft. That's true. So I know. I was going to say, before we wrap everything up, you wanted to give a shout out to a Facebook group, right?
Yeah, so I'm a member of this group. They've got about 2,000 members. Actually, they were just under earlier today. They might have passed it. It's Everything Fantasy Sports on Facebook. I'm on there, not just me, obviously, but there's at least 2,000 other people. But it's an awesome site. People talking fantasy football all day. Actually, they talk all sports. You know, time of the season right now, though, obviously, it's fantasy football's dominating everything. Dynasty, redraft, and as well as, what do you call that other stuff? DFS, baseball. It's pretty cool. So go check them out if you're if you're on Facebook. Get in and join the page. It's a pretty cool page, really cool admins, and I'm on there just about every day.
Awesome. And what about for us? I know you wanted to tell everybody about our Patreon account.
Well, guys, I don't know if you're aware, we actually have a Patreon account. And what you want to do is go ahead and become a patron. Because every week you get this show uncensored. And you typically get it before we release it on Podbean.
Correct.
Because we like our patrons better than our non-patrons.
No. Yes.
And then every week you also get a bonus episode where we discuss typically fantasy football. Yeah, heavily fantasy football. We did veer off into stand-up comedy a few weeks ago.
I love that really show. That was great.
Yeah. Typically, we keep it to fantasy football and like quantum physics. Just, the stuff that people love.
Sometimes
so we got a few different tiers. Yeah, a few different tiers. Make sure you go hit us up on our Patreon page. Man. You can also get it on our GroupMe chats where we're talking trades and stuff like that all day, and that's really going to start picking up with the season. And don't forget, if you're not already a member of Dynasty Football Factory Sports, you're going to want to go sign up for that. We've put some stuff out for free this week. Just put out a waiver wire article. All that stuff's going right behind the paywall once the season starts because that's for our members.
Which we're almost there.
Yeah, you become a member. We got Slack channel. We got video mailbags. We got a bunch of fun stuff. So, become a member today. Check out our site. Check out our different membership tiers.
Cool.
That's all I got.
Also, check out our Twitter account at DynastyTradesHQ and check us out on iTunes at DynastyTradesHQ. Give us a rate and review. We would really love that. It's funny, Jeremy made a crack about comic books. I know when we were in Canton.
No.
Russ,
you guys have talked about that before on the show.
I know.
And The Walking Dead.
I know. And Russ and I were talking about comic books in Canton, and you were like, oh, can we talk about something else? So, hey, listen.
Well, after 5 hours of comic books, I didn't have anything else I couldn't listen anymore because I had absolutely nothing to talk to you you about. Yeah.
First of all, we were only at the restaurant for an hour. So, all right, we love you guys, and check us out. And we're going to go do a Patreon episode right now, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
all right,
Patreon
cool.
Yeah,
episode.
right
All
now.
right,
And
so-
if anybody wants any HQ koozies, we should post these up on the site. And if people want them for a few bucks, I'll just drop them in the mail for people. Swear to
Cool.
God. Let's do it.
Cozies. We also have some autograph photos left. I know a couple people in our Patreon chat were asking about those autograph photos. We have some left. So, all right, great. Have a great night. We'll see you guys next week. And say goodbye, Shane.
Bye.